Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Simeon Show. I am super excited about tonight's show. I've been waiting for this show all month. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you know that we here at the Simeon Henderson Show, we support cancer, period. We support our family, our friends, the people who's fighting for the cure. We are here to do whatever we can, whether it's mentally, physically, financially, any way that we can be of assistance. That's our goal. And I am super excited about the two young ladies that I have on the show tonight. And they both are actually really close to me. One of them is probably like 40 years close to me, and the other one is more closer to 15 years close to me. And it's just one of those things where we have to open up our hearts, and we have to open up to who we are to help people, whether it's just someone to talk to, someone just to lean on and just be there for them. And that's what I am striving to do. But before we get into that, I want to give a big shout out to my executive producer, Jamani and Amdi, out in Miami, Florida. My producer right here, my main man, Jose Perez. Ashley Easley, my marketing manager, and also my other producer, Tammy Henderson. I thank you guys so much for everything you do for the show and just for helping this thing go and flow, and everybody that supports the show. And what I want to talk about really quick, everyone knows that I'm a motivator and I'm an educator. I've been working for the Chicago Public Schools for 20 years, and I've seen a couple of strikes. But right now, they are in the midst of another strike because Lori Lightfoot, our mayor, hasn't done the things that she said she was going to do. There's no way that this city should be in a situation they're in right now with teachers on strike. The SEIU is on strike. So that's security, seekers, nurses, counselors, librarians, everybody's on strike. And it's not just about money, people. People think it's about money. Oh, they want more money. Like when we've been out picketing, people drive past saying, stop being greedy and go back to work. And it's not about money. It's about smaller class sizes. It's about getting nurses in the school more than once a week. Once a week, there's a nurse in the school. That's not good. What happens when a kid is sick or a kid gets hurt? We're taking care of them, and we are not qualified to do so. And then the librarians, they don't have library every day. Then the counselors, there's no psychological support every day. We need these things. The seekers, they need to be with their kid that they're working with, not doing office work, not putting up bulletin boards, not doing security. There's so many different things that need to go on in the school system, and this is what the strike is about. It's not just about money, people. Please get that. People think it's just about money. That's not it. There's so much more at stake. And if you guys have children in school, you understand the importance of making sure our educational system is conducive and it is the way it should be for our young people trying to get a good education and their safety, and when it's concerning their safety physically and mentally. Okay, so this is what it's about. So I'm going to get off that soapbox because today is another day that I was on strike, and I was out there picketing and walking in the crowds of the people. Yesterday we were at City Hall, and it's just one of those things where we're trying to really make some noise. Mayor Lightfoot said before she got in office, one of the things that she was going to do was make sure that we had what we need adequately for education, and that hasn't happened. So, and it's evident because we're on strike. And I just want to tell you guys, the longer the people are on strike, they can't take care of their families. Okay, we're talking about no work, no pay. And people have families, they have newborn kids, they have kids in college, they have kids in high school, grammar school, they need to feed their kids. There's so many different things that go into effect, and this strike affects them all. So let's get on the right foot and let's do it right, okay? So I'm off my soapbox. I'm done with that. All right. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been watching the show. Make sure you subscribe and like the YouTube channel, and make sure you like the Facebook page. And I need you guys to support. This month is almost over, so you can still get a shirt. We have some left. Okay. Now, without further ado, I want to bring my two guests on the show. We have Jocelyn Dorsey and we have Charlette Pebbles Everett. I like saying Pebbles. That's her nickname. And they're here to educate us about this thing called cancer. And I say cancer because we're talking about breast cancer, but then we're also talking about other forms of cancer because there's so many different names, if you will, or different diagnoses when it comes to breast cancer. And then also sometimes when people fight breast cancer, it turns into something else. So there's a lot of information that you don't know that we want to give you. And we want to give a big shout out to Antoine Muhammad. You know, that's our brother that's in his battle with cancer. I got to give a big shout out to Tony Lanice Fountain. She was on the show last year. She couldn't be here today. I talked to her daughter. She's been in and out of the hospital, so she hasn't been doing too well. So I need everybody to please pray for her. That's Tony Lanice Fountain. You can send her messages on Facebook, on Instagram. Please pray for our sister because she needs all our prayers, and she is so sweet and she's so thankful. So please do that, and I will be going to see her in the hospital. So if you guys want to put up a post or you want to send a message, something to say to her, you can send it to me and I'll make sure I read it to her. But we have our sister in our prayers, and because she's not here today, but Jocelyn is here. They were both on the show last year, and we have Charlotte here too. So without further ado, we're gonna get right into it. I'm letting you know right now, you might cry. You're definitely gonna laugh because these ladies are funny, and it's gonna be informative. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the two beautiful ladies and both of them got curly hair. And me too. So I want to bring my sisters, Jocelyn and Charlette, and welcome them to the Simeon Henderson Show. Come on, ladies.
Hello.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Have a seat. Have a seat.
Hello.
So, wow. So, guys, let me give you a little background. I said it earlier. I'm going to start to my immediate right and then slide over to my right. So Jocelyn and I, we've been acting together for a while. I know her and her husband Paul very well. This man is in her corner through thick and thin, and he saves lives in his job that he does out there, and he's always there for his beautiful wife. So I am so thankful to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
And then we have Charlette. Now, this is my sister cousin. If you've ever seen any of the posts we put up and you see sister cousin and she say brother cousin and what the heck are they talking about? It's because we were so close, we were like brother and sister. And we'll get into that later. But Charlette, thank you for coming to the show. Sure. I wasn't sure if we were going to get you, but it's so good to have you here. So I'm going to start here. And when I ask a question, I'm going to ask it one time, but I want both of you guys to answer it. Sure. Because everybody has their experience and their story, and although some of them may be similar, but your fight is always, your fight. And my first question to you is, and I'm going to start with, and I'm going to kind of go back. What was it like for you when you first heard those words, you have cancer?
You want to start?
We'll start with Charlotte.
Well, when I first heard I have cancer, first thing I thought about was, well, I have to go way back because I'm actually battling this monster for the third time. Mm-hmm. So the first time I heard I have cancer, my 25-year-old was 1.5, and my 30-year-old was 5. Mm-hmm. And my first thing was, I'm not going to see my kids grow up. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I'm a young lady mm-hmm. in my 20s.
Right.
And I'm not going to get a chance to see my kids grow up. I'm not going to see them as teenagers. Not going to see them in high school. Mm-hmm. They're babies.
Right.
And I'm not going to see them grow up. I wasn't even thinking about myself.
Right.
And that was it.
So your first thought, your first initial thought was fear.
Yeah.
And that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I first found out that my mom had it, mm-hmm. and I mean, well, first I found out you had it, yeah. And it was like a punch in the stomach. I'm like, what? I'm like, and I was younger, so I really didn't understand it as much, but I knew it was something that wasn't good.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking about her. I'm like, that's my sister. I'm like, so I understand that whole fear component. So now, and I want to finish this part before we come to you, Jocelyn. So now your initial thing was fear, and it was really fear for your children.
Right.
Right. So after you got over that fear, and you realized you had to be here, then where was your mindset for the fight of it?
Okay, it's time to fight.
Okay.
And I wasn't thinking about anything else, but it's like I was having an out of body experience. It's like it's not me, it's my friend, and I'm doing whatever I got to do to help this girl, Charlette, my friend.
Right.
So I'm just going along, just doing whatever I have to do, just taking care of business.
Right.
And it wasn't like I was experiencing it myself.
Okay.
I'm just doing what needs to be done to help my friend, Charlette.
Wow. And let me say this, guys, because she didn't mention this yet. You have to understand, when she got her diagnosis, she was a nurse.
Yeah.
She was a nurse.
Wow. Yeah.
And she was a nurse. So in my mind, it's like you're a nurse. You went to school to learn how to take care of people, to help people, to nurse them back to health and things like that. And now you're in this situation where it's like, wow, I'm the one that needs to be nursed back to health, or to make sure I do everything to make sure my health is where it should be.
The funny thing is, I had to make people believe that I have a problem. Because, okay, you're told by media, everyone, doctors, if you have a lump, tell your doctor. If you have a lump, you might need a mammogram. I found out on New Year's Eve. I felt the lump on New Year's Eve. We coming in from a party, whatever, wiping the sweat from under these things. And I'm like, hey, honey, you feel this?
Right.
Yeah, that ain't supposed to be there, And so I'm immediately, the next, work day, I'm on the phone with a doctor. And my doctors all know I'm a nurse,
right?
So this person wasn't a regular doctor. Oh, you're just, you're too young, and no one in your family has. And I'm like, but look, no, we're gonna just watch it. No, okay. Number one, we're not gonna watch it. We're gonna do a mammogram.
Right.
Number two, I've known people much younger than me to have cancer, and so I'm having to tell this doctor what we need to do, because she's telling me, oh no, we're going to just let you just go on and let this thing grow. And so that was the first problem I ran into. So even though I'm a nurse, this lady didn't know I'm a nurse. Had she known,
maybe
and it shouldn't even be that
way. And that it's kind of like when I was a cop. If I got pulled over and they treat me a certain way, and when I say, look, man, I'm a police, and they say, oh, why you didn't tell us it in the first place? No, you should treat me right in the first place. So now, here we go. You go from finding out to fear to acceptance to fight. Okay? So we got that. All right. So now, Jocelyn, let's come to you. And this is and ladies and gentlemen watching, if you have any questions for Charlette or Jocelyn, make sure you inbox me or put them up, and we'll answer your questions. And you can also find Jocelyn and Charlette on Facebook and Instagram as well, so you can share your thoughts and ask your questions, because I know there are people out there that are fighting this thing too, and they see you guys, and you guys, like Charlette, you've been a survivor now for 25 years. And Jocelyn, you've been a survivor now for 8 months, going on 9 months. So now let's come to you, Jocelyn. What was it like for you? And I know, and this is so weird. I know you're an actress, right? You're an actor. You have kids. You have a husband, and you out doing your thing. And then all of a sudden, you find out.
Yeah.
You have
it was
battle.
pretty crazy. For me, it was that same thing, that first initial fear of, like, what? and my first thought was my kids, and my husband, and what you go into mode,
Right.
and it is that out of body experience because everything goes so fast. From the time I was diagnosed, September 4th, the first day of school, my kids' first day of school,
Yes.
to the time I started my first chemo was only like 3 weeks.
Right.
So I really didn't have time to think. It was just like jump on it. My first thought was, you go into this like mother bear mode. I
Right.
did, it was
Right.
because my boys had just started school. I wanted to make sure that they were okay,
Right.
that my diagnosis didn't, like affect them in school and things like that. So I kind of put a lot of emphasis on making sure they were okay, making sure that when they saw me, that I was up and I was dressed, and I tried to, make things as normal as possible. I tried to, whenever I had the energy to, make sure that if I had the energy to get up and
Right.
could dinner, so it kind of
Yeah.
stayed,
Yeah.
that normal thing, and they know
Right,
their
yeah.
mom, you know what I mean. But I tried as hard as I could to try to keep it as normal as
Yeah.
possible, but it's rough,
Yeah.
it is definitely a fight. It's definitely a struggle, but I'm thankful for what I was able to do because, even though it's been less than 9 months, I look back at some of the posts I made this time last
yeah.
year, and I'm like, how the heck did I do that?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
remember.
oh,
I remember when I first found out. I called you right away.
yeah.
I mean, it was like, and this is my experience with you too. It's when I found out Charlette, I was young, but it was just like, oh wow, my cousin, my sister, and then my mom.
Yeah.
When I found out my mom, and I'm listening to you guys' story and the way you're talking and everything, and this is probably why I'm so close to you all. And my mom was the same way. She was always worried about us. She was worried about little Simeon because I was a single dad. She was worried about that. And I remember when I found out, when my mom told me, it was like somebody had just literally like punched me so hard in my stomach.
Yeah.
I just started crying because Superwoman, in my eyes, Superwoman just got hit with some kryptonite.
Yeah.
But that was my initial reaction. But then it went from that to me. I would literally drive back and forth with my mom from Streamwood. Then it got to a point where I gave her my car and my little Lexus. I gave my mom my car, and I took her little Chevy Caprice. And everybody's like, "Man, I said, "Man, that's my mother." And but listen to you guys. This is the thing. So they're in a fight, but their main concern is their babies.
Oh yeah.
Their significant other. So what I'm saying is this, and I talk about the importance of women and how strong you all are and how much we appreciate you. And this is a testament to your strength, right? So now my question to you all is, there's so many different types of breast cancer and cancer in general. And I remember Charlette years ago when we first started doing the walk, the Nancy B. Coleman walk and all of that, and just getting involved in it. It was just, to me, it was so refreshing to see all of you women that really, really come together and know how to stand and know how to fight. So what, and I'll start with you and then go over. So your diagnosis was one thing, right?
I actually was diagnosed with what they call invasive ductal carcinoma with metastasis. So my cancer was found. I found my cancer. It was in the milk ducts.
Okay.
In the breast.
Okay.
But the mammogram that I had was clear.
Oh, wow.
I found the cancer in my lymph nodes, under my arm, in my armpit. I found a lump. Didn't hurt.
Right.
The armpit, I felt it. I told, Paul, I'm like, that's weird. And I'm thinking it could be just a clogged duct or whatever. And I'm not thinking about it. But something just kept staying in my mind. Don't wait.
Right.
Don't play. Don't just go.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't have a doctor. I wasn't going to the hospital. And I called I'll never forget. I called and I'm just like, I need a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady who answered, she says, what's going on? You know, she was just operating.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I found a lump in my armpit.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I'm going to send you to this doctor.
Wow.
And I went to the doctor and she said, right away, she felt it. And, you know, and she did the, you know, the exam and everything. And she's like, I want you to go have your mammogram the next day.
Mm-hmm. And
I went the next day. And I remember that you know, the doctor saying, you know, your breasts are fine. Your mammogram is clear.
Mm-hmm.
But they did feel the lumps in the armpit.
Mm-hmm.
They said, so we want to make sure we get those biopsied. And I went back to my other doctor and she said, I don't care what he said. I'm sending you to the breast surgeon anyway.
Mm-hmm.
She said, just because I don't trust it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I've seen it happen too many times. I don't trust it. And so I had the biopsy. I remember the doctor called, and I went back there and she said, when you get your results, tell them, don't bring me back in. If it's bad news or whatever, you can take it. Call me on the phone. Let me know.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got the call, I remember the doctor saying, honey, it's not good. It's spread. It's in your lymph nodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just like that ton of bricks and just wanting to fall to my knees. But I will tell you, the first thought I had besides my kids was, I have to call my agent. And I'll tell you why. Because I had just recently gotten an agent.
Mm-hmm.
I had been like praying for an agent. And I finally got an agent, right? But that was one of my first thought was, I have to call my agent because I have an audition the next day. And you think you're like insane going.
Right.
But that was my first thought was, I have an audition tomorrow. I got to tell my agent that I might not be able to go to my audition because I have can't, you know.
Right.
And you know I went to the audition?
I know. You told me.
I went and actually got a call back and couldn't go because I was going through all my testing. And I just like, I think about that all the time. So yeah, it's really weird about the stuff that goes through your brain because you're just like, fire in your brain is like going a million things, not thinking straight at all. But that was one of my first thoughts was that, and it was like, insanity.
But that's where being strong comes in too.
Well, you know, but it's
something
weird,
like that
though.
can break. I've seen it break people.
Well, let me tell you,
they just lose hope.
Let me tell you, I went through the whole thing, you know, with chemo and surgery and then radiation, and I will honestly, after all that, lately has been the roughest time for me, mentally and physically. It's been like, I've been struggling, really. And it's been, I tell people, because you look fine, they know that you're cancer-free, so they figure everything's fine.
Right.
But it's not, because now you are physically different. You are mentally different. You have been through a fight. And when you have cancer and you know, whatever type of cancer that you have, there's always that burning thing in your brain is it going to come back? Is it going to come back?
Yeah,
And that's the really hard part. And it's like, for me personally, it's been like a form of PTSD because something will remind me, a smell, a sight, something. It will just bring it all rushing back. And it's been really difficult for me. And I haven't been able to do the walks. I haven't been able to do the support groups because I'm still angry. I find myself being very angry. I find myself being, you know, very bitter.
Wow.
And I have to really pray about it a lot because you get angry that this monster has come.
Why did it happen to me?
That it has touched your life.
Yeah.
That it has touched your kid's life. You know what I mean? I had a conversation with my son the other day, just asking him, how did my diagnosis affect you? He's a senior in high school now. He was like, it broke me down. I didn't show you, but he was trying to be strong for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But there were several times he finally just was honest and said that he went to school and just cried, and his teachers, God bless his teachers, who were so supportive of him and of me, that they just let him cry, and his friends rallied around him, and his teachers rallied around him. Oh. So yeah, it's mentally after that part, the fight continues. You know, because it is the mental fight can sometimes be a lot harder than the physical fight.
And that's, I think, and Jocelyn and Charlette, I think that's what I really want people to understand. I really want people to understand what you guys go through, because it's hard for me to see you guys go through it. Like, literally, like, it was one time I wanted to go see Charlette, and I couldn't go see. I didn't tell her this. I couldn't go see her because, like, she sounded weak when I talked to you one time, and the Charlette I know,
Yeah.
was always whooping my butt around the house, and even as we got older, always every time we see each other, we laughing and we this, and it's like, oh my God, what's wrong, you know? And it's one of those things. I think people don't understand or don't take note to how it affects them or how it affects people, and I just think it's important for people to hear what you guys are saying, because if you haven't gone through it personally, you can only imagine what it's like. But if you've been there, like you were there for your mom and my mom, and I was there for my mom and your mom, and when we know and we see the effects of it, it takes us to a whole nother level of thinking. And so Charlette, your diagnosis, and you recently told me that there was you originally it was breast cancer, right? And then now you're dealing with something else.
Yeah. It unexpectedly I found out that it spread to my liver, and this was just haphazardly.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might think I'm a hypochondriac,
Mm-hmm.
but everything that I complain about
Mm-hmm.
is an actual diagnosis or problem.
Wow.
So if a smell is bothering me,
Mm-hmm.
it's because I really have an allergy or asthma or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a bladder situation,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm telling the doctor, I need a CT scan.
Right.
Give me a CT scan.
Mm-hmm.
Why won't you give me a CT
Mm-hmm.
scan? I'm insisting.
Right.
He wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I complained to my primary care physician.
Right.
I'm telling this man I need a CT scan. He won't give me one. Blah, 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 blah,
Right.
blah. I've known my primary care physician literally 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've known him only about 5.
Right.
So I don't trust him.
Right.
I've known him enough.
Right.
But she knows me like, oh, her blood pressure usually runs blah, blah, blah.
Right,
This and
right.
that. So she knows me.
Right.
And plus, I'm telling her, he won't order the CT scan. And plus, my stomach's been hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Right here and right there and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been able to be comfortable unless I'm sitting in this way
Just,
and blah, blah.
right.
Okay, well, I'm going to order a CT scan of your bladder, of your abdomen and pelvis.
Mm-hmm. Just like that.
Just like that.
And now I'm sorry, I gotta say this. Everybody's listening to this, and I'm listening to this. So this is my thing. And this is why I say the doctors are practicing.
Oh yeah.
They're practicing.
Yeah.
Practicing
They are
medicine.
practicing.
If you are a patient
Yeah.
and you are paying your medical, or just say you're a patient, period, and you're telling the doctor, this is the problem I'm having, why do you have to fight with the doctor to give you a diagnosis or to take tests to check out where the problem is?
Right.
And then, but some people, and this is the problem, some people aren't insistent like you.
No.
And they just say okay, and they keep waiting, and it gets worse.
Yeah.
It gets worse.
You
And
have
then when they finally do it, it's gotten so bad now they can't.
It's
You
Oh,
have to be
too
your
late.
own. You have to be
Your own
your
advocate.
advocate. You have to be.
I'm gonna tell you, I really believe, because I actually got my master's degree.
Right.
And I ain't doing nothing with it, but just looking on the computer and studying stuff. But I really believe I went to school to take care of myself.
That and yeah. and look, but that's the blessing though.
Yeah.
Is that you actually you're smart enough, but not only you smart enough, but you have the background and the education to back it up.
Yep.
And that right there, and then now you can be a light to other people as well.
But so, I'm not thinking anything about cancer
Okay.
with this CT scan.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay, have fun. Do the CT scan of my stomach, but that ain't what I'm concerned about. My concern is why my bladder and pelvis and all of that stuff is hurting. I mean, I know my diagnosis, but why is it hurting like this all the time?
Right.
Not thinking about my stomach at all, where my liver is. So she calls me like a couple of hours after I have the CT scan done. And I just happened to be in the doctor's office that wouldn't do the test.
Wow.
And tells me, it looks like there's a lesion on your liver. I'm concerned that it may be mets from your last cancer. I'm like, and he can hear her.
Right.
And he's like, and I'm like, oh. Wow.
So she was saying this.
The doctor
and
that
he can
ordered it.
Right.
And the man
who
who
wouldn't order it is listening
is
to
hearing
this. Wow.
And he's like, oh, wow, I'm so
They
sorry.
practicing, man. They practicing.
Yeah,
So
you have
she
to.
ordered a MRI, which I got the next, like 2 days later. About an hour or two after the MRI, my oncologist that I've had since
The beginning of that.
2000 and whatever, 1996 calls me. This is cancer. It's spread to your liver. We need to do a biopsy. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But it's still not registering.
Right.
We on our way to eat dinner. So me and Everett together, it's not registering the magnitude and that this is not curable and that this is it. It's not registering until I read it somewhere. There is no cure. I'm supposed to know this.
Right.
But it's not clicking.
It's not clicking. Yeah.
It's not clicking
I'm pretty sure that's normal for that not to click.
I'm like, okay.
You're not going to accept that.
I'm like, cool, Dr. Merkel. Order it. I'm going to get it. You know. Right. I've been knowing him for a long time. But he concerned enough to call me a couple of hours after after I had the test done.
It's
But it's not.
As soon as he found out.
Right. It's not clicking to me.
Right.
But, so yeah. That was a year ago, this month, a year ago, October 5th.
Right. Oh, wow. So let me ask, so October 5th, I see your shirt you have on, Sister Strut.
Yeah.
So you did the Sister Strut, I know. And I couldn't do it because I had to work. You put it up like the day before you were going to do it. You were like,
sleep half the time.
she's like, yeah, tomorrow we do a Sister Strut. And I'm like, what? I've talked to you. I ain't know nothing about Sister Strut.
I probably didn't either.
Yeah.
I don't be remembering stuff real good. I remember stuff from way back when.
But the stuff,
right now.
You know what's funny? That was one thing that I noticed about Mama. I noticed that about Auntie Martha too. I noticed that they wouldn't remember certain things, or they would repeat it, or if we talked about something, they would ask me again. But
mine is due to the chemo that I had in 2011. Mama didn't get no chemo.
No, she didn't get.
You get like a brain fog.
She didn't do nothing. She wouldn't do nothing.
Well, no, it was that.
Or it moved so fast.
Mom was already metastasized
Right,
by the time we found
right.
out.
And that's what I mean when I said, because from when you guys told me, by the time we found out, it was already.
Yeah.
You call it, what did you call it?
Metastasized.
It's spread, right.
We came home from Belize on Saturday or Friday. Mom said she was getting a test. And on Tuesday, she was getting the results. The doctor wanted her to come in the office so the results. That's when we found out. And that was the beginning of February, and the end of March.
Yeah, wow. It was fast. It was fast. We were and I think for me, and I don't, and I can only speak for myself. I can look at people and think what they think or wonder what they think, but when I think about myself, I was there with you guys, and And then like even with my mom, you guys are all there, and it was like we've always been there for each other. But it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of surreal.
Yes.
Yeah.
You talking about
Yes.
and I'm talking about people that's loved you, took care of you, bathed you, fed
Your
you,
whole
clothed you. I'm talking about your whole life. And I mean, even to my auntie, I got a picture of me and my auntie treated me like a baby as an adult. Like, and I was totally receptive. I would never fight her. Ain't no baby. No, I'm your baby. Whatever, you know. And then especially after my mom passed, it was like and she would always call me, Simeon, I'm just checking on you, like for real. And it's one of those things where people, and that's why I tell people all the time, you have to learn how to show love. Even when you're going through something, even when you're mad at the world, even when you don't know why, even when you get past that feeling.
Yeah.
Remember the people that's there for you. Remember the people that love you. Remember the people that got your back and know that they're there. And looking at you ladies, man, I'm just like, I was teasing Charlette. I said, you ain't never talked to me this much. I said, when I call her on the phone, I said, I gotta make sure I block off 30 minutes because I know we gonna be on the phone.
Yeah.
And she's like, maybe I just want to talk to you. I said, and I appreciate it, like for real. So that's why I said I make sure I can talk when I'm talking to her. And it's just one of those things, man. I think we have to understand that life happens.
Yeah.
That time moves forward, and so with the time that we have here, that we have to really take into consideration what we have while we have it.
Definitely.
You're never gonna imagine that. I be thinking after I talk to different people that in the future when I'm not here, they're gonna remember these little conversations. I really actually be thinking
You think that, yeah.
I be
So you
thinking
try to
that.
make
Yeah.
it, yeah. I mean, you do think about. When I look at my kids, you know, I think about it. Or when Paul and I'll be sitting out walking in the garden. You know, I can't imagine not
Right.
being in the garden with him, or us cooking, or just laughing with the kids, or watching television together. And so it does make every single moment really, really, really important. And you want that the thoughts that your children have about you, or your loved ones have about you, or your friends have about you, you want them to remember something
Yes.
good. And so that does lift you up and go, you know, there's a lot of days I just feel like crap. And it's just like, I don't, but when you talk to somebody else, you always want to be able to uplift somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's really important. I reached out to a friend of mine on Facebook that I'm, you know, it's some people on Facebook, you don't know, you've never met them, but they become such an integral part of your life, and you're like, thank you
Yeah.
for that. And I reached out to her, and I was like, I don't want to, you know, like vent or rant or whatever, but it was just in my spirit. I just needed to get it off, and I'm like, who can I talk to? That one thing, I'm an absolute nut, and or sorry, and I said it was just like placed on my heart to reach out to a friend of mine, and Deborah, and she's a pastor, and I knew she had breast cancer before, and it was just something that just said, just do it, even if even if she's like, girl, what is wrong with you? Later, just do it. And I reached out to her, and she was such a blessing to me. She just gave me so much, just positive feedback, and she was just like, whatever you're facing is valid.
Right.
Yeah, you're not gonna feel great, and you're gonna, there are days where you're just gonna be like, oh God, but keep going and just keep trying, and just take those steps, and having the diagnosis, and I have a couple other chronic conditions. It was faced with like, well, what do I do? Do I keep acting? Do I quit? Do I, and I'm in that transition stage right now. Like, what do I do? I'll
tell you what you don't do. You don't stop.
Yeah, it's hard though.
I know, but that's
really hard.
That's why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And you, it's times you want to stop.
Oh yeah.
Are you guys listening to everybody out there listening to this that don't have any issues, don't have any health problems, but you always find a reason not to talk to somebody or to be upset or whatever have you. Listen to people that's actually going through something life-changing and how they're talking about love and being around the people they love and things like that. This is what we have to take in. And this is a lesson. And see, everybody won't do what you guys are doing. Everybody won't sit down and open up. But they don't realize. And I think it's, in a way, I think it's selfish because to not open up, because what happens is you're educating people. But guess what? You're also healing yourself and you're letting it out. And that's why I say even selfish to yourself, not just to other people, because you need to release. Mm-hmm. Because when you keep it all bottled up, dis-ease brings on disease. Meaning it can get worse. You can stress yourself out and you can make yourself worse. Mm-hmm. And that's when you know what I'm saying? And that's what I think.
That's why it's sad that a lot of our people don't believe in seeking help.
Yes.
And I have a shrink and I see
which is a psychologist.
Well, I don't call him a shrink to his face.
I would hope not. But hey, how you doing today, shrink? Shrink my thoughts. Shrink my mind.
But I do have a shrink, and that's because, a psychiatrist has to dispense medication. A psychologist or a social person would help talk you through your issues. Right. So I have both of them, and actually the talk therapist comes to my house every Wednesday, always late. So now I know how it feels when somebody's late all the time, because that's my title.
She busting out the shrink, the psychologist. She gonna just bust everybody out. I hope y'all watching the show too. Whoever her shrink is, her psychologist.
I tell him to look at it. He know. He always trying to change stuff. And I told him, look, we real even keel right now. We ain't got to change anything. We stable.
Right.
That's what I told him yesterday. Remember, I went somewhere yesterday. That's what I saw, a psychiatrist.
And that's what you have to do
right now. We ain't got to change nothing. He always looking to change something. We don't need to change.
He always trying to practice.
Right. I'm good. I'm not super depressed. But I did not want to take any depressants because I didn't want no mind changing medicines. But when I went through cancer in 2011, I was diagnosed on Friday. My grandmama was diagnosed that Monday.
I remember, yeah.
So my mom was dealing with her mama and her daughter being diagnosed the same week. Only way I was able to deal with it, what I was going through, was being medicated. Because I was a total mess. I was literally crying every day. Literally crying every day. My hair came out and I was holding my hair together. I didn't comb my hair so my ponytail could stay there. I didn't even comb it so my ponytail could stay there. And it was just ridiculous. And me and Grandma, we would talk to each other every single day. Every day. And the day before she passed, I tried so hard to get to her house, but couldn't. And during this episode of cancer, my mind was so messed up that I would be like lost. And like literally physically lost. I would be taking money out the bank, putting it in other accounts, and not knowing where that $800 was. And asking my husband what he did with the money. And he looking at me like... And then later I would remember that I had got up after doing chemotherapy and walked down to the cash station machine and took money out the machine and drove it to, cabbed it to another bank and didn't know what happened.
And you yelling at him thinking he took the money out.
Going off on him that he took the money out the bank.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous. The hospital calling me, and I'm in the house sleep good, wondering why I'm not there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm supposed to be there for my after treatment.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
He was constantly calling me, where you at? What you doing? Where you at? What you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Where you at? I'm like, why is he calling me all the time? Because I'm crazy.
Right.
Right then.
And that's, yeah.
And it started to get better.
Uh-huh.
But I ain't right now because I done started on medicine again.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know what a train was. That big square thing right in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mess.
So
Chemo brain.
yeah. So everybody. So this is why this is so important. I know some of you guys have probably went through this with a family member. So what Charlette is telling you is that chemo and it those chemicals, they're
poison.
chemicals. They're
They're
poison.
poison.
And it messes with your mind. It changes things. It makes you forget things. It makes you hallucinate. It makes you see things that aren't there or do things. Like I've seen this happen, and it's so tripped out to see that something like that happen. It's like a person that you know that's totally normal. Now all of a sudden they doing things like, why is she doing that? Or what's going on?
Had an hour-long conversation with a girl. Shakira's godmother, known her 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Hour-long conversation with her. Called the next day, asked her, did we talk yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah. Y'all remember?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I feel like I dreamed about us talking.
Right.
Like, I feel like we kind of talked about this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you stay
medicine.
foggy. Yeah.
The medicine had me so messed up. I didn't need to be by myself ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I could have got in a cab, and the cab could have took all my money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All
All because you're not aware. And another thing too, everybody watching, the chemo and the radiation, and I remember this with Mama. Her skin had got darker, but her hands, yeah, her hands had got like totally black.
Yep.
And it was tripped out because this is my mama, and this is my queen. I love my mama, and I felt helpless because I just wanted to do anything I could, whatever, and I tell whatever she needed, whatever she wanted. And I'll never forget this, Charlette, Jocelyn, one time, and I was always giving my mom my last, whatever you need, take care of it, whatever. And at one time I needed some money, and I never forget this. My mama goes in her purse. Now I know she ain't got no money to give me because I'm giving her money all the time. She not working because of these treatments and stuff. And and shout out to Miss Peg, her boss / best friend, who still to this day looks out for my sister and the family, and just for always loving and looking out for my mom, which is her best friend. My mom goes upstairs. She goes in her purse and gives me $20 because she knew I needed some money. I said just like this. I said, lady, why are you giving me your money? I used to call her little girl. It was funny. She called me a little boy, and I call her little girl. That was our thing. I'd be like, little girl, I don't want your money. She said, little boy, you better take this money. And then she told me something, Charlette and Jocelyn, that kind of changed me. And that's why I'm always giving. She said, let me tell you something, Simeon. She said, you always being a blessing to people. Anytime somebody needs you, anytime somebody needs something, you'll give your last. You take care of me. You take care of whatever. You help your family and friends. She said, let somebody be a blessing to you. Because you might be blocking you don't want to block their blessings. Mm-hmm. And she was literally giving me her last. And all I could think about was, no, that's yours. But I took it. Mm-hmm. And the blessing came after that. I think after that was when I booked my first national commercial. And I was like, listen to your mama. But what I'm saying is it taught me that opening your heart, always showing love, always trying to be there for the people you love, and always trying to do the best. And it's like I said, you think about these things. I remember when you guys lived out west, when we would always walk down the street to y'all house. Remember that house? And I'm just saying, I was a kid, a little kid, and Charlette used to have to watch us and have to give us a bath and all, you know what I'm saying? It was like it was so tripped out. And I got to tell you guys a story.
Oh dear.
So my aunt Martha and Charlette. So it was 3 girls: Charlette, Jackie, and Talise. Okay, Charlette's the oldest, Jackie's the middle, Talise is youngest. Then it's Jacob, me, and then Danielle was the baby. And I never forget this. My hair was long. I had an afro, nice afro.
Gotta see that picture.
But my auntie Martha, she decided that she wanted to always take my afro and put it into ponytails or braids.
Yep.
So everywhere we went, to church, to the laundromat, to the beach, to the store, everybody would come up to her and say, "Oh, that little girl is so cute." And I would look at them and start crying and say, "I ain't no girl." And I would never forget that.
I got Mama.
And she said, "That's my little baby."
Sure.
She said, "That's my little baby." I was like, "Oh, Lord Jesus." So yeah, but I just appreciate you all. I really do. I'm like right now, I'm joy, because it's like, I always say that I want to get with you guys and hang out. And this is, for me, you all guys always hear me talking about support. For me, this is a start of me doing something that I want to do to not only shed light, but to always be there for my sisters. And I just encourage you guys to do the same. And just learn how to have a heart. Learn how to show love. Learn how to have some empathy. And just understand that people are going through all life-altering things. And this medication that they have to go through, it's that's why we have to get more knowledge.
Yeah.
We have to get more knowledge. And then I know you recently went to the Mayo Clinic, which is in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because you said you want to learn more.
I felt like I've known my doctor for 20 plus years, and I feel like he cares, but nobody gonna care about you like you gonna care about yourself.
Come
right?
on. That's
And nobody gonna take care of you and try to do the best for you like you gonna do for yourself. So I needed to try to get more. So I had gotten a second opinion from Northwestern, and they said, yeah, what he's doing is what I would be doing.
Okay.
And that was when I first got diagnosed with these metastases to my liver. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm good with what he's doing now. So then things changed, and I had to start chemo, and that was back in February. So as we progressed, things weren't getting better. They were kind of just staying steady, and maybe would get a little worse, but not get better. So I figured, you know what? He's ready to start going with a port and IV and losing hair and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, wait. Once I go there, it's no coming back. It's like whatever I'm doing is for life.
Right.
So let me see what they got going on at the Mayo Clinic.
Right, yeah.
So I called, and they only take you if you referred by a doctor or if your case is bad enough that they'll take you.
Right.
So they reviewed my case, and unfortunately it was bad enough that they took me. So they gave me an appointment for 2 weeks later. 2 months later, and they determined that with my whole situation, there's medication that works with my situation that just came out in May. However, they need to take some of my biopsied liver parts and do some gene testing on it.
Right.
So I thought they'd just email my doctor about it. So when I went in Monday, he said, oh, I haven't gotten an email or anything. So he had to go find the information in the system. And he said, well, I'll send off the biopsy for them. So we just going to find out if the genes work.
Right.
And I'll be able to start the new medicine in a month.
So we praying that the genes work.
Yes.
Everything is going to work according to plan, so you can get this medicine. And I know if it's coming through the Mayo Clinic, it's something that's going to be better, something healthier, something that's going to help you. And like you said, you know, once they do them ports and all that stuff, this is something that just has to go on, right?
Yeah.
And
I
that's
mean,
what
I
you don't
probably will need a port regardless.
But it'll be better with that type of what they're trying to do.
The port is because I could only get IVs in one arm.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
And that's for
Same thing.
access.
So the port would be to put that medicine.
To put the medicine.
Okay.
In.
So
But
what
this
they do,
medicine would be once a month injections in my butt.
Okay, I knew she was gonna say it. I
In
knew
my
she was
behind.
I knew she was gonna say it. Look, Paul is in the house. He knew she was gonna say it. No. We're not censored. It's okay.
So I could have said.
No. See, now you in the behind. Yeah, that was good.
So anyway, it would be once a month as opposed to the way I'm doing now.
Yeah.
They've had to change my medicine so many times because of the side effects. I just want to be asleep all the time.
Yeah.
I have what they call hand and mouth symptoms where my hands got, like Everett said, I looked like a mechanic because my hands were black, black,
Right,
but
yeah.
they've lightened up
Yeah, right.
since they had to reduce it. And now it's like 7 days on, 7 days off.
Yeah.
It's just, and now that makes it not work as well. So the doctor's saying it's like you need to get to a point where the medicine is working good enough and helping the symptoms,
Right.
so that you can tolerate this.
Right, exactly.
Till it stops, then we got to go to something else.
Right.
So it's just,
It's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so we hoping that medicine
Works.
for a long period of time.
so we're speaking that medicine gonna work for a long period.
Yes.
of time. There it is.
Yes.
And you look
Yes.
beautiful. So I say you look beautiful. You guys look beautiful. So I will say that, and I'm not lying. I could say that and be honest. Stop lying to people. No, just joking.
But
So
one thing I want to say is, if I had not gotten mammograms and had not checked myself ever, none of this,
we wouldn't be sitting right
I
here.
wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Same thing.
And I find myself just saying those words to different people, whether I know them or not.
Get checked out.
Get checked. Yeah. Know your body.
Yeah.
Know your body. Be an advocate. And you know, if you want a second opinion, get that second opinion. You want a third opinion, get that third opinion. Because a lot of times, there's so many different types of breast cancer. Like we talked about, you know, there's the type where people have the gene. There's type like myself where I have nobody in my family where I had a direct, you know, connection with it. I just happened to get this particular type. There's some that go in remission like mine does. There's some where it doesn't go in. There's some that is hormone responsive and some that isn't. Like mine, I have triple negative.
Okay.
Or had triple negative, where there's no medication, there's no pill for me to take every day. And there's some people that have HER2 positive or HER2 negative or whatever, where they can take a pill.
Okay.
So when you hear breast cancer, you know, I didn't know.
Right.
I hear breast cancer, I think it's one kind.
Yeah.
But there's so many different types. And so you can't look at somebody and say, oh, you have breast cancer, I know what they're going through. No. Because everybody that I've met that has had breast cancer, totally different.
Wow.
And you can be one person that have two different kinds.
Right.
Because
Wow.
I've had breast cancer 3 times, and when I got it the second time, it wasn't
totally
the same.
It was different.
In the same breast, 2 different
It'll
kinds
switch.
of breast cancer.
Wow.
So it's a lot. Cancer is a beast.
So guys, hey, we could actually go on all night about this, and not just about the cancer, but talking to these lovely young ladies about their life experiences, about who they are, and you see their personalities. They're just beautiful, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys and your time. I appreciate you guys coming on the show and talking to the people and educating them. I want to give a big shout out to your husband Everett and your daughter Shakira. I want to give a big shout out to your husband Paul and your boys and just everybody that supports these ladies, and Aaron, her son Aaron. He weighs in.
Arkansas.
He's in Arkansas. And his grandbaby, your grandbaby, she's a grandmama, y'all.
Me too.
And your grandmama now?
Yes.
I ain't no granddaddy yet, so let me know older than me. So, but I want you guys to continue to support, and as we fight for the cure, and I'm talking about a good cure, not just practice, something that's going to make a difference and help people. I want you guys to always follow. You can follow Charlette Pebbles Everett on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow Jocelyn Dorsey on Facebook and Instagram, and you can also send your messages, your thoughts, your prayers, whatever it is. And we want to give a big shout out to Tony Lanise Fountain, who she's back in the hospital. She's on the show last year. We're praying that her situation just gets better and better. Yes. I want to pray for my mother-in-law, Esther Hudson, our brother, Antoine Muhammad, who has a rare form of breast cancer. He's a male. My friend, Quan Jackson. There's oh, my God. There's just a ton of people that we know that's battling this monster. And we want to make sure that we make people aware. Yes. Thank you all for the knowledge and everything that you shared with us. And I want you guys to remember to be symbolic. We have a shirt for you, too. Charlotte, I gave it to you already. She didn't want to wear her shirt, but she didn't want to change her shirt. We're gonna leave it at that. Yeah. So, like we always say, be symbolic. Simply your best, because being deeply rooted stimulates growth. And Symbolic, and the Simeon Henderson Show is always fighting for the cure, and we're here to help make a difference. We thank you guys so much, and like I always say, be symbolic. Simply your best. Being deeply rooted stimulates growth, and Philippians 4:13, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And I'm having moments, guys. You guys have to understand. Not only am I close to these ladies, but then I have my mom, my aunts, my grandfather, my grandmothers, and people that we've lost to this thing, and uncles and friends. And it's just one of those things where I appreciate life. I appreciate them. I appreciate those who came before me and imparted into our lives. And I don't ever want to lose that. I want you to always remember the people that you love, that dealt with it, and how to always remember them, and how to always help them fight, and always just be there and learn how to love. Show love. If nothing else, show love. And big shout out to my executive producer, Jemani and Amdi, Jose Perez, Ashley, my marketing manager. I appreciate you guys, everybody watching. Thank you so much. Continue to support, and I'll see you guys next time. And we'll have the ladies on again, and we're going to go see Tony and make sure she's good. And we appreciate you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.